Space, the final frontier. Join us for a bold conversation. Our prime directive, to recap our favorite Star Trek shows, both new and old. To engage in debate about all things Trek. Prepare to energize with phasers set to stun.
Hello, listeners, and welcome back to a new episode of Phasers Set to Stun, where we continue to show our love for everything Star Trek in this ongoing series from a Film by Podcast, which focuses on every system of the expanding Star Trek universe by covering television, movies, animation, directors, merchandise, and much, much more. Plotting our course on this voyage is our core Trek team. I'm Wayne Whited.
I'm David Burns.
And I'm Scott Hoffman.
And here we are, almost at the end of Star Trek Discovery Season 5, the series' final season. The series has taken us to all corners of the galaxy, from the planets Kumal, Trill, and Hilimno, to the Badlands, to the Mirror Universe, and from Starfleet headquarters to the Eternal Gallery and Archive. The map to the progenitor's technology has been completed and lost to the Breen, and now, in this week's episode, Lagrange Point, the Discovery are on a race to get there first. So this is Black Alert, folks. There are spoilers ahead, and if you haven't seen this episode, please stop and shovel yourself to the nearest view screen to catch it on Paramount Plus, then come back and rejoin us for this discussion. Now, Scott, why don't you give us a short summary of this episode?
Hey, first of all, I got to give it to you for rocking right through those three pronunciations of those planets.
I know, right?
Well,
Damn, man.
That's a lift. You were
Well
just
done.
smooth as silk. Well done. Yeah, Wayne, like you said, in the penultimate episode of the season and the series, Discovery finally reaches its destination, the fabled progenitor technology. They find the prize nestled between two black holes in a binary star system at a Lagrange point, which apparently has nothing to do with ZZ Top, and everything to do with the position of gravitational equilibrium, creating a perfectly dangerous and stationary parking spot for it. The prize is deceptively simple, an ornate cylinder that resembles a monolithic oil barrel, although finding the answers they seek within is far from easy. Discovery barely has time to consider the object before the Breen rip it from their hands. The chase seems to be over, but Discovery's resolve leads to a bold plan. Infiltrate the Breen dreadnought disguised as Breen soldiers and take it back. Adira, Reese, Book, and Burnham form the away team, while Discovery's remaining crew figures out how to help them escape with a progenitor tech. Meanwhile, Mull gains confidence as a temporary leader of the Breen by cracking open the canister and trying to solve the mystery inside before a competing Breen leader arrives to steal it from her. Eventually, the away team is unmasked, and Burnham finds herself pulled into the canister along with several unfortunate Breen volunteers. Discovery creates a plan that frees the canister from the dreadnought, flinging it into open space, where it forms a larger and more stable portal. The episode wraps with Rayner and crew determined to get Burnham back, while defending the progenitor prize from two warring Breen factions. We'll see if they make it in episode 10, the last of the season and the series.
Yeah, that's quite a synopsis, but this episode was really packed full of stuff. So, you had to go through it one by one, and all of it was great. I love this episode. It's really hard to decide where to begin to talk about it.
It really is. I mean, the biggest thing we need to talk about is it's directed by Jonathan Frakes.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I love every episode that he's directed, every movie he's directed. So, and we all love him as Commander Riker, of course.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot going on in this episode, and I don't know what my favorite part would be of this episode because there was so much in it. I just know that when they shoved Discovery into the shuttle bay of the the dreadnought, is like, are they really going to do that?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that was even the reaction of the bridge crew. Are we really going to do this? And I just thought that entire sequence was incredible. Mm-hmm. And again, I'll talk about the special effects, the visual effects. They were incredible in this episode, especially that scene.
They were, and that shot at the beginning, we seen that last week in the clip, but where it was warping while damaged when it spun was really cool. And there was that shot. I just love that shot where it was in half cloak, kind of, flying past the two black holes. That's probably one of the most beautiful space shots that they've done this whole season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This FX, the team that does the FX has done an incredible job this year. So I like to give a shout out to it's Pixamondo is the main visual effects company, and as well as quite a few others. But their work on the series has been phenomenal.
Yeah, that cloaking effect was really well done. I mean,
Yes.
to show an invisible ship, but you can still see it, so you still have the context to know where it's going. Yeah, I would definitely say the headline is directed by Jonathan Frakes, of course, written by Sean Cochran and Ari Friedman. A great combination for this one. A very action-packed episode. A lot of things have to get kind of wrapped up and resolved as we get toward the end. I would say the subhead to this one is Saru's back.
Yes.
Start from the top,
that.
right? I mean, kind of. He's coming back, but he's not quite there.
So here's my thoughts on this, okay? And this is kind of going to give away what I think is coming in episode 10. I think they're leading to his death.
Really?
There's a lot of stuff that happens in this episode where there's a lot of things that you don't say or do, like in a horror movie, that if you do and say it, you're pretty much going to end your character's life coming down the road of the movie. Him basically, coming back, giving the flowers, and then volunteering for this mission, and the talk that he had with Burnham, and those kind of things. We kind of don't have enough time right now, but hey, it's good to have you back. Those kind of things. I could be wrong, and I hope I'm wrong, but I really feel like that's where they're leaning.
I hope not. It could be. I really, it's all guessing. I really have no idea where they're going to or how they're going to end this with the characters. But I hope not, because I like him. I love his character. I always have since the beginning. And I missed him for these last 6, 7 episodes that he's been gone. I think that scene with him and Tarina was so good and so well played by both of them. When the season started, I wasn't really sure if I cared about the storyline with their marriage, or I wasn't feeling that. But as this season has progressed, I'm really liking them more and more, and I hope they get married. I hope you're wrong, David.
I do too. I do too.
But we don't know. We won't know until next week.
Yeah. But no, Wayne, I do agree with you. I feel like their romance was kind of awkward at first, at the beginning of this season. But in this episode, it felt very fluid. It felt very good to have those two together. Sure, it might be because we get to see Saru on screen again, but the two of them were just perfect together in that scene.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, they're characters you might not necessarily think of as having a traditional romantic relationship. Just because of the Vulcan background. I also hope that you're wrong. I kind of feel like it's like, hey everybody, we've got soda, but it's been sitting out for 7 hours. It's gonna dang it, Dave. Why do you have to say something that sounds like it's right? But yeah, I know it's entirely possible, and I think there's probably going to be moral implications of yes, we have this tech that could technically bring back a fallen colleague, but should we? I think there's a lot of that's probably going to come out with this progenitor tech. It's kind of like the question isn't necessarily who should have the progenitor tech. It's more like, should anyone? Is it something that's better left to history and science?
Yeah.
I agree on their relationship angle as well. I think it's perfectly written. And I think it does a great job of going through traditional kind of relationship beats that are appropriate for each of these characters, that are not, stereotypically overtly romantic, but their feelings are genuine. And you can tell how much they care for each other and how much they also respect the positions that they're in and the responsibilities they have.
Yeah, I agree. The one scene in this episode that I was like, really? That just happened? Now what? And the bridge crew had the same reaction. It was when the Dreadnought just showed up, grabbed it, and was like, oh, we got it. See ya.
It happened so fast.
it happened so fast. I'm like, really? We went through all that, and that fast? They took it, and it's over? And like the bridge crew felt like that, too. Now what?
Right. Well, and then, I also kind of wonder, it's floating out there like a, if it was produced by anybody else, it would have like Pepsi logo on the side or something like that. But they've got this perfectly dangerous hiding spot for it. So you can't kind of fly in there and grab it. But they didn't think about somebody with a tractor beam that could just
pull it away.
I mean, that feels like it should have been a little bit more of a struggle. Like, come on. Don't have them just reach off the shelf and grab it. But
Of course, 800 years has passed, so maybe back then, next generation time tractor beams couldn't quite reach that far or weren't that strong.
true.
You never know.
That's true.
Yeah, they should have at least had one of those, stereotypical bridge shots where there's like sparks flying and things catch fire because it's hard to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Whatever. Make it seem a little tough.
I do want to give out a shout out to Ensign Tao because of her Ensign Tao going on the away mission.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody even looked like, really? Should we be doing this? Is this really happening? And just the bravery that Tao showed right there was fantastic. Even Burnham was kind of struggling at first, and they realized, no, Tao is the quickest when it comes to, and that's exactly what they need. Is speed, and Tao was fantastic in this episode.
Yeah, and the concern that you see on Stamets.
Yeah.
Like, I know that they're ready. I want them to be able to do so, but this is extraordinarily dangerous.
Right.
Like, this is the Breen, and you're basically going to dress up like the Breen and then go on their dreadnought, which is filled with Breen that want to kill you.
Yeah. Which was incredible, by the way, of them dressing up as the Breen. All of that was fantastic.
Yeah. Well, and the way that they kind of navigated that's I guess the next thing that caught my attention is how much more we get into Breen culture and military structure.
Yeah.
There was a lot of nuance to that. Changing the logo so that they're on the science team, for example, knowing how to navigate an awkward conversation, actually more than one awkward conversation, just with dialogue.
Yeah.
We really see the xenoanthropology side of Burnham come through, and they were all extraordinarily brave. It doesn't seem like they missed a beat. There was no hesitation, stammering, doubt. They just went full on into it.
Well, they knew what was on the table, man.
Yeah.
This is it. If we do not get this from the Breen, it is over, and they knew it. So you don't have a choice in this situation. But and even as powerful as the dramatic moments were, again, one thing I love about Star Trek is they have those comedic beats that you get sometimes too. I laughed so hard when Book was flirting with the Breen.
Yeah.
I laughed so hard there, and then Burnham was just giving into it as well. Like, really, this is happening?
You sure you don't want to get into that oil bath? Like, I can let the sheep going. Yeah,
it's so good.
Yeah, I also have to mention. You mentioned the fact that the episode was directed by Jonathan Frakes. That's really what made this episode for me. What made it stand out from the others, because his direction I thought was phenomenal. He's directed so much Star Trek over the years. I don't even know how many Next Generation episodes he directed, but he did some of my favorite episodes of all the series. He did Search and Past Tense for Deep Space Nine. He directed quite a few episodes of Voyager. He directed No Win Scenario for Picard Season 3, which I thought was a phenomenally good episode.
Oh, yeah.
But this episode, more than any of the other ones that I just mentioned, it looks like it was directed by the man who directed Star Trek First Contact. If that makes any sense to you, I don't know.
It does.
Because I think, First Contact, I think we'll all agree that is a beautifully directed film. It's one of our favorites. It's got, it's well timed. The pacing is great. The action is great. Witty dialogue from the actors. Everyone looks like they're enjoying their time with the director, and I see that here.
Yeah.
More so than the other episodes that he directed. It's got his fingerprints all over it, and I loved the episode because of that.
So there was some definitely Jonathan Frakes shots I could see in towards the beginning of the episode, and a little bit later on too, that we had seen in his past that he did. But he went a little bit more further with some of his directing in this one and gave us some originality stuff that really Frakes hasn't done before. And what I liked was, I remember talking about in the first episode of this season, when they did the split screen of the two characters side by side on the screen, we didn't like that. He did it here with 3 characters, but it worked because it was so quick and so fast paced, and what was going on all around, it fit in here perfectly. And I'm so glad Frakes did it there.
Yeah, it helped to establish that kind of Iron Man heads up view inside the Breen helmets.
That's exactly what I felt. It felt like Iron Man. Yeah,
it did. It worked great.
The heads up gibberish on the side that was like, what is all this for? But Yeah, it did work really, really well, and I'm glad you mentioned that because that's one of the things that caught my attention. Was like, uh-oh, last time we saw this, not so great,
Right.
but did a good job of establishing, their communication and kind of reminding you who's there on the team to keep moving forward. But yeah, Wayne, the other aspect, as you mentioned it, having similarities with First Contact, it's knowing how to create the establish the atmosphere within an immense alien vessel,
Correct.
right?
Yes, yes.
We get so many different aspects of seeing the Breen ship, so much complexity to try to work with, from flying Discovery into the shuttle bay, which speaks to the immense size of this dreadnought.
Yeah.
But a lot of the establishing shots, a lot of the scenes that help to just kind of deal with all the space dynamics of two ships dealing with a certain situation. It was just very well done. I can imagine him, going through the storyboard process with the, a ship in his hand, going like, it would kind of tilt like this. And that just seems like it'd be a lot of fun. But
Yeah. And Frakes definitely knows how to give you those camera angles that will match characters in situations with action, with drama, whatever it is. I almost called him Riker. Frakes does an incredible job of doing that and building that tension throughout the episode, which he's done in so many episodes that you mentioned, Wayne. Even in First Contact, he did so good with it. But seeing the Breen on screen like that, and seeing the camera angles he's choosing, and the movements of the camera that we see, he really does such a good job with grabbing what's going on screen and just building that tension up, and just does it so well.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
I do have one little issue with the episode. Of course, the Trekkie in me has to
Please tell me you're going
this.
to pick what I picked. Go ahead.
Well, what was up with them pulling the hose out of the back of the Breen suit to incapacitate? I mean, I was under the impression that the Breen suits were more of a uniform, not like an environmental suit.
Agreed.
Because we've seen them, breathe and outside the with Locke.
Yeah.
Or not, and so that really didn't make any sense to me. I mean, it was cool, but I don't know, was it a mistake or not? I'm not sure.
I do have a possible solve for that, but it might be, might be like BS dialogue that's meant to do so.
Tell us.
Just the sense that when Locke took his helmet off in the second episode, and there was that kind of moment where we saw the amorphous nature of their biology. I wonder if there's a certain period of adaptation they have to go through to say, I'm making a conscious decision to adapt to the environment outside the suit, so I have to spend the time going through that change. Otherwise, it would knock me out. Not necessarily kill them, but it might be that
So
they're
more
still
like a
in that
stun.
kind of previous state. Exactly.
Okay,
Exactly.
I didn't think of that. That's a very good explanation, Alan. Okay, well then I don't have a niggle anymore. All right.
I still have one. I still have one. So, I know a lot's going on and a lot of stuff has happened with Burnham, but you use this time to have a heart-to-heart with Book?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
I agree with that one. Yeah.
Really?
Pulling off to the side to be like,
Yeah.
hey, let's get cozy and chat. No.
Right. No.
No. What if somebody walks by? Like, that seemed kind of unnatural and risky at that
did.
moment. But
Yeah. I mean, again, I know a lot was going on. This is a continuing part from the last episode. They just escaped the Dreadnought. They're trying to get the ship fixed. They didn't have a lot of time, but I still don't think that was the moment to do it.
Yeah, there's a time and a place.
Yeah, and that was not it.
No.
I'll definitely tell you that.
well,
Not
and
at
it
all.
seemed like there was a little bit of time between last episode and this episode where that could have been done.
Yeah.
It's kind of like,
Right.
this is great. I'm glad, but your timing really sucks. We gotta go.
We gotta go, man. Come on. I've talked about this character quite a bit over, I don't know how many episodes, but quite a bit. Rayner again, guys. When he's on the bridge taking charge, he's just so good at it. But I don't know who mentioned it, Scott Wayne, episode ago or 2 episodes ago, that he never gets into the captain's chair.
That was me. I noticed that quite a bit.
And it was addressed. It was finally addressed in this episode by Tilly.
I was happy to hear that.
Yeah. I loved that. And when she went over and Tilly's like, notice he's avoiding it? Getting out again. Yeah, he's avoiding it like the plague. We've all noticed it, and it's like, it's true. And then when she tried to confront Rayner about it, it was, he really, I don't think he gave her a direct answer. It was basically, and I thought it was a credit to her that he picked her as number one, of course. But it's basically, don't question what I'm doing, I guess maybe is what it was. It was his answer to that.
If we were stuck in a foxhole, I wouldn't kill you for giving me the warm and fuzzy encouragement that I don't need.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And it's just, I love Rayner so much. He's become one of my favorite characters in this season.
Well, I'll see your Rayner and raise you a Tilly, because I think the relationship in here, those beats that we've already mentioned in particular, but I also noticed kind of a subtlety when Tilly catches herself saying too much.
Yeah.
And says, "Thank you for your..." Yes, we'll do that. And it's almost like she was counting words, right?
Yeah.
So she is meeting him halfway and acknowledging that he has to do the same, but giving him room to do so. And when she mentions that on the bridge, it's not in a way that calls him into question or whatever, and he's receptive to it, right? He says that, if we were in a foxhole, I wouldn't kill you, with kind of a wry kind of smile on his face, right? And it just shows that their relationship has grown, and I think that's going to advance her so much as a teacher and a leader, and him so much more as a commander and eventual captain, because I know he's headed back to that seat.
Oh, without
that was and that was a great beat to point out that idea, and then finally at the end of the episode for him to not only take the chair, but to almost kind of give his engage kind of phrase, right, when he's sitting in it.
Oh yeah. And it's so much has changed for him and the crew, because remember, the crew really was just not fond of him at all. Nobody was. And even us as an audience were kind of like, he was rubbing us the wrong way, especially how he was wanting to learn who everybody was. He didn't want to take the time. But then over the episodes, man, he has really grown on us. And he has become such a great dynamic with Burnham. The way those two communicate with each other. I mean, you saw how Burnham, did that via code that she did to get Rayner to realize what's going on, what to do.
Done.
Yeah.
Just so well done.
But that final scene, that open-ended cliffhanger, when he does sit down, it makes you think. He wouldn't sit in that chair because Burnham was the captain. He had respect for the captain's position, but now he's sat down. Does he, think that he's now the captain? Is Burnham gone?
Could be. Yeah,
entirely possible that he's kind of coming to terms with that, to say, look, we need somebody in the chair, literally in the chair. Because it's it's coming up to the end moment here, even though he's not like, I better do this because it's almost the last episode, gotta get in the seat when I can, but more like, Burnham might not come back from this progenitor void.
You're right. She might not.
But
we don't know. I mean, this is the end game. We don't know what's going to happen.
Nope.
And and I love Rayner's line. Failure is not an option, and it's not, because if they fail, that could be the whole universe, the galaxy, all going up because of the bringing of what they're going to have under their control. We don't know.
Yeah. I also thought it was kind of interesting that this I didn't think about it until it was happening, but like a lot of the quest story arcs, where you're solving puzzles and solving puzzles and solving puzzles. Of course, you get to the destination, it's just one more puzzle away from being solved.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's got to be a little bit... There's got to be somebody on the ship that's like, really? Come on, man. We're there. Just open up the thing. But it'll be interesting to see where they go. And there's kind of that teaser of Burnham's puzzle that says something about the form where they all come together, or something like that. And that made me think it's got to be possibly something about the shared characteristics between all the races the progenitors had kind of pointed out.
Or the fact, I'm glad you brought that up too, because that also made me think, is Burnham's the only one that knows that clue, that's the actual clue to make the stuff work. And it makes me think that one person, one race cannot activate this technology, but maybe all of them working together, or more than one working together as a whole, as one, could possibly make it active, which gives me thoughts about what could happen next episode. If you keep in mind who's inside the void right now. I mean, are they going to somehow have to come together and get it to work? I don't know.
Yeah, and the whole foreshadowing too of Mole transporting Locke so that they can preserve his body, and then she puts that on herself, so she basically took Locke with her when she went in.
I have my
interesting.
theories.
That's a good catch.
Yeah, I have my theories of what's going to happen, but I really don't know. I'm just guessing.
Yeah.
So now that we've given our thoughts and opinions on the episode, let's take a look at the characters themselves. Which character do you think shined the most this week, David? Oh, okay, that's one interesting.
Sorry.
I disagree, Dave.
Frog in the throat. Sorry. I'm going to choose Burnham for this one. She gets a lot off her chest to book, albeit in a bad spot. She gets to pretend to be a Breen. She shows her smarts, as we know she is. She gets to kick some butt, all the while showing extraordinary bravery by jumping into the portal, not knowing what it will do or where it will lead. That's why I thought it had to be Burnham in this episode for me.
Scott?
For me, it was Adira. Earning a place on the away team. David, you alluded to this before. We've seen so much growth and character development in that regard. And there's been a lot of places where confidence is kind of shaken, where doubts have kind of come up. They make brave and bold decisions that prove they're right for the job. And it's great to see their growth as a confident and essential member of the crew. Thinking of, when we first met them, never would have guessed they'd be able to put on a Breen suit, a counterfeit Breen suit, go onto a dreadnought and not only get their job done, but stand face to face and, dialogue wise, engage in a way that was like, no, we're here now, move on. Like, wow, that's a big step forward.
Yeah.
Wayne, what about you?
Well, this week I think Rayner got the center seat. Nice. literally got it. But he's done an incredible job all this season. His character has really grown past that arrogant and competitive ship's captain we saw in that first episode, and here in this episode we get to see one of his biggest leaps of character growth that he's ever had. Finally sitting down, finally taking true command of the Discovery, and of course, the way he picks up Burnham's hint, I loved that. I thought that was a perfect way of connecting. It's the whole crew were just fantastic. They all work together so great, but with him at the top there, I think they have no chance of failing in their mission.
I think by the fact that each one of us picked someone completely different and had good reasons for it, just shows you how well put together this episode was.
Exactly. They were all fantastic. There were so many characters this episode that shined.
Yep. Absolutely. Good pick.
And I just think about how far this season and this series has come. Right? There's been a few moments where faith has been kind of shaken, of like, oh no, where is this going to go?
Right.
And especially in those first couple of episodes, it was like, okay, have faith. It's Trek. We can get through this. And wow, it's really turned it around. And I'm glad to see where we are.
Yeah. I remember our first thoughts, Scott. We talked about, we're like, oh man, this is going to be a long season.
We weren't sure. Yeah. But, after that third, fourth episode, we started getting into it, and look where we're at now.
Absolutely. Yep.
All right. If you had the choice to be any character that appeared in this episode, which one would it be and why? We'll begin with you, Scott.
Well, Wayne, I'm going to get into who you just mentioned, Rayner. Gets to lead the Discovery crew in moments where we see them at their best, and finally sitting in the captain's chair, despite all the pacing that was going on. But I just feel like it would be very tense, to say the least, to be on that Breen ship, and there are so many opportunities to see various parts of the crew kind of working together. I'd like to see it from his perspective.
And David?
So funny is how this is going to turn out, is because I'm choosing Scott's pick for the character that shined the most. I'm going with Ensign Tao because, getting chosen to go on a dangerous mission, willing to do that, showing that character growth, being so brave, and then getting to go on that ship, pretending to be a Breen, and getting to explore that technology that you didn't get to see when you were on the Discovery. Sure, it's a very, very dangerous situation. Sure, you could probably get killed. But sometimes you got to take those chances, and just that feeling that you get, that adrenaline high that you get when you go into a situation like that, it had to be something unreal. But just to be surrounded by people are going to protect your back, absolutely, it's instant out.
And I'm going to probably surprise both of you, and I'm choosing a different one. I'm going to say Lieutenant Commander Asha. Or specifically the helmsman of the Discovery.
Okay.
There was some expert piloting there needed in this episode, between flying away from the black holes, and then flying into that Breen shuttle bay, excuse me. That really took some skill, and that's the best place in the ship, in my opinion, to see everything that happened. And I'd love to be right there at those controls. Just great position.
Yeah, good choice.
Well, especially considering the state that the ship is in, right? Like, what percentage of things are actually working because they had no time to get everybody focused on the spore drive, let alone,
I will be shocked if the Discovery makes it through the rest of this season. I will be shocked.
I agree.
Discovery A.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yep.
All right, let's dive deep into the episode and see if I can't pull out any Easter eggs. And this one was a hard one. There really wasn't too many in this episode because there was just so much action, so much going on. That there were a couple that I saw. There was mention that the Breen use transwarp tunnels or conduits to get around. That's the same technology that the Borg use to get their cube ships around. And it's also the way that Voyager experimented to try to get back to the Alpha Quadrant for a while, but unfortunately their attempts turned Lieutenant Tom Paris into a salamander, so they abandoned that real early.
Like you do.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if you guys noticed, but those black holes and the way Discovery flies away from that's very similar to how the Cerritos flies away from the black hole in the Star Trek Lower Decks title sequence.
Good catch.
That. Yeah,
even the black hole is the same design. It looks exactly the same. So I had to think that had to be in purpose. And then one final one, and boy, did I have to pause. There's quite a lot to figure this out. That map that was briefly shown at Starfleet headquarters, it mentioned a lot of planets that are with the Federation. The ones that I were able to pick off, there was Earth, Trill, Teller, Orion, Denubula, Andoria, Proximity, and Vega, and Delta as well, which really surprised me. You don't hear very much about that planet. And there were a lot more, but I just couldn't read them. They just went past too fast.
Wow, Wayne going deep on this one. Wow.
Yeah. And hit more of those planets, man.
Yeah, no, man.
Blood for punishment.
I had to watch it twice to pull out even those. There was just too much action, too much stuff going on right now to really do any callbacks.
Yeah. Well, good call.
All right. Now, we've seen that sneak peek clip from the upcoming episode. What do we think is going to happen next? I know we mentioned already a little bit, but what do you say?
I think this episode's called what? Life Itself?
Yeah,
Life Itself.
Right.
Yep.
I have a feeling the series is going to end.
It feels like it, doesn't it?
For sure. After this one. Yeah.
Wow. You might be right on that, Scott. You might be correct on this.
Yeah. I mean, that clip, I'm pretty certain that's probably the very first scene of the episode. It really seemed like one. It seemed like it was continuing right from where we left off at this episode.
Yeah.
I mean, like we said before, I just don't think the Discovery is going to survive. It's pretty wrecked as it is, and they got a battle coming up.
See, this is why I've always said all along that these ships should have little fighters to be sent out to fight while the big ship is getting fixed. Because as you see, the Breen are sending their fighters out according to that scene we see in there. Why does the Discovery or any other starships not have little ships that they can send out to fight?
No, most of their enemies do. I mean, the Cardassians had it, the Romulans had it. Now the Breen has it. Those are the ones I can think off the top of my head.
Right.
But no, we've got science shuttlecrafts, so
right. That's not going to do the trick.
Nah, grab some DS9 runabouts.
There we go.
Right?
Yeah, at least those had quite a few phaser bays on it.
Yeah,
they were tough little ships.
Yeah.
But guys, I know as I mentioned earlier too, I really think we're going to lose Saru. It had that vibe, it had that feel to it. And again, I hope I'm completely off page here. I hope I'm completely wrong, and Saru is going to be fine because we all love him. Yeah. He's among one of our favorite characters. but
He's
just
so
the way
huggable.
he is, as you would know, Wayne, as you would know. Yeah, I just think it's going that way. I really do.
Yeah, you're right. I think. I mean, it does have that feel. I mean, I don't know if it's B Saru, but I just don't think that they're all going to make it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I do think maybe something to consider is that it feels odd to lose Saru
Yeah.
in this 10th episode because he hasn't necessarily been as involved in Discovery as before, right? So it almost seems like I'm back to die
Right.
versus maybe, completing the arc and maybe making it so that maybe it's that he never truly reunites with the Discovery crew
Yeah.
the way that he would want to. He's having to, watch from a distance, possibly on another ship, right? To help them through whatever they're going to do. There is part of me that kind of hopes that I'll forget the trailer before we see the next episode. Because there were certain moments where you see, and I won't say anything because it's happening tomorrow, but certain characters interacting with other characters that makes it kind of like, oh, okay, so now I'm going to be waiting for those characters to interact in some way. And it might be a flashback. It might be, we get a Benjamin Sisko kind of treatment, and there's, certain characters ascending to higher planes of existence or something like this. But I'll be very interested to see where it goes. I'd be willing to bet that Discovery is not even usable anymore at the end, and we go on to a Discovery B, which, in some kind of commemorative moment or something like that. But I do agree, it does feel like we're gonna one of the crew members is gonna lose their lives, and
Without a doubt.
we'll have to see who it's gonna be.
Yep.
And that's it for this penultimate episode of Phasers Set to Stun's look at Discovery, Season 5, Episode 9. We'd like to open a channel to our listeners and hear what you thought about the most recent episode and the season in general. Who knows, you might even get mentioned on a future show. Thank you, David and Scott, for joining me and the listeners for another fascinating discussion. Next episode, as we mentioned, is titled Life Itself, and we wrap up not only Season 5 of Discovery, but the series itself. Will this series end on a high note with a finale worth remembering? Or will we have another These Are the Voyages? We look forward to returning to the 32nd century one last time next week on Phasers Set to Stun.